All right. Welcome to another episode of the Circle of Life podcast. I'm here today with Marshall. Hello, Marshall.
Hi,
Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
my name is Marshall Stamper. I'm living in Taipei, Taiwan, setting up a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu gym out here. Currently sitting outside. It's a little chilly. Drinking some pu'er cha, some tea from China. Daily routine. Sitting here with my buddy Willis. Long time no see you, man. You were here yesterday training jiu-jitsu with me. And we had fun. Did you like it? How was training with me yesterday? What do you think?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, good structure. I like the way you do it. And then
Yeah.
the way that you have a really quick pace when we roll. So I can see how this training translates to that.
Yeah,
So
man. Constant submission hunting.
yeah, it's good stuff. Um, you might have already alluded to it, but what are some things that you are passionate about?
Passionate.
Yeah.
I guess it's jujitsu. That's my main spiritual practice in life.
Mm-hmm.
Been pretty obsessed with jujitsu about 11 years now. I've tried to quit many times and I can't seem to do it.
Mm.
Full blown addict, and now I'm trying to get other people into join the cult. Um, my other passion is drinking tea. I guess if this is a video podcast, I can show people a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I got this little setup. I was showing you this yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Got a little tea set, little dragon. And I do these things. These are mental health practices for me. They really help me reduce anxiety in the morning, really focus myself. The jiu-jitsu really helps me to build a community. It's the only way I know how to make friends as an adult, and really helps me focus on taking care of myself. Really got to take care of my sleep, got to take care of my physicality, really got to take care of got to notice my emotions. You show up to jiu-jitsu in a weird emotional state, stuff can go off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really my guiding focus, helps me stay on track, helps me empathize with others. And yeah, man, I like jujitsu and tea.
Yeah. Why did you try to quit?
Oh, I just think there's like other stuff in life, right? Like if you're full committed to jujitsu, there's lots of stuff you can't do. So for example, I went to university in San Diego and loved surfing, right?
Mm.
Now I'm in Taipei, constantly doing jujitsu, and so it's very difficult to get out to the ocean and do jujitsu, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's hard to get up Saturday at 5 a.m. to go surfing if I've been training all week, training Friday night and Saturday night. So for example, I have to give up lots of things, right? You were talking about getting into rock climbing yesterday. You're telling me you want to do that. It's very difficult to have intense rock climbing and then go to jujitsu. It's kind of one or the other, right? Especially if you also have a job. I also have a girlfriend. It's hard to do too many things, right? As grown men, you almost got to pick one, right? Especially if it's like a hobby, which for a long time jujitsu was. I'm trying to make it into a business, and that's a hard transition as well. There's not time for much else, right? Last night I taught a jujitsu class, and my student was going straight from class to stand-up comedy. I wish I could join him. I wish I could do the class, go to stand-up comedy, go out drinking all night with the boys, get up, talk to you, do more jujitsu, but I can't do it. It's too much. I have to make choices, have to make sacrifices. And so I knew this like years back, right? And so I wanted to just expand my horizons. I want to be open to other things. And at this point, I think I just have to stick with my decision and stick to the path.
You might have said it already, but when you wanted to quit, what were some other things that you wanted to get into as a kind of a replacement or just
Oh man, Ashtanga yoga. That was like on my mind for a long time. Get up at 5 a.m. and do yoga for 2 hours. I always thought that would be cool. Um, go Zen meditation monk. I still have that in my head. I did lots of meditation retreats when I was in my 20s. 10 days, 3 days, 7-day retreats. So I always wanted to go for 3 months. Still a possibility, but that would be, feels longer and longer away when I have that opportunity to do that. Like I said, surfing. I wish I could be a cool party guy. That sounds fun, but I don't think I can do that again. And then stand-up comedy was a big one. I gave a lot of my life to that in my 20s. Um, and then the apocalypse hit, and I kind of haven't gone back since. Um, yeah, man, a lot of things. There's a lot of cool things in life. And I think I'm just stuck with jujitsu. I think that's just the one I have to keep doing.
Gotcha. What? So you used to do stand-up comedy?
Yeah. I guess I gave it a real shot for like 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, all my 20s basically.
Did you have a specific topic that you kind of felt yourself making jokes or like speaking about a lot?
Just my life. Yeah, my life, my relationships. Um, yeah, I try to keep it personal.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any hot takes on like politics or other people's lives.
Hmm.
It's weird things I've seen. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's an example of a weird thing you've seen? If you don't mind sharing.
The last time I did comedy, I was talking about I went to a techno party, and there's this very no homo, a very beautiful black man who was wearing glasses and taking photos, and a lady went up to him and said something to him, and he couldn't hear her, right? And so he's what? And then she says it again, and he can't hear her. Took off his glasses, and then he could hear her. That's a weird thing I saw that I've been thinking about for like 10 months.
Okay. Um, yeah, I guess because you kind of mentioned it, what does spirituality mean for you?
Spirituality means like just focusing on immaterial stuff, right? It's kind of like an old school word for mental health, I think. It's
Mm.
focusing on calm, it's focusing on gratitude and connection to others, right? And then in this vein, a lot of pseudoscience has caught up about like regulating nervous system, co-regulation with others. Um, yeah, it's just kind of a vague term for old school mental health, right? If you meditate, you can calm yourself down, less anxiety, and then you can connect with others, you can understand others. And it's good ways to stop from like spinning out and making narratives in your head that probably aren't true, right? I think everybody gets caught up in stories in their head that don't match other people's realities, definitely, or even we could say reality in general. And so meditation, breathing, uh, drinking tea, getting into nature, connecting with others can really help to calm the nervous system in a way that can help to connect to others, which is really that's kind of what we're trying to do here. That's what everybody wants to do is be calm and connected to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not easy.
Can you share a little bit regarding your mental health journey? I might have heard depression, anxiety. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that or other things that have affected you?
Um, sure. I mean, it's such like a big topic, right? Like, I don't know how personal to jump in immediately. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can just say life is hard, and like I'm an expat living in Taiwan. I'm severed from an emotional support system. I'm out here on my own. It's very isolating being an expat. Um, it's very easy to just hold up in the house by myself. Um, Yeah, I would need a more specific question to really dive into.
Um,
It's a very large topic.
it's a very large topic. I think I was just curious. Yeah. Um, maybe what were some of the lower points in your life?
Ooh, very low.
Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
there's a time when I tried to go back to California and like keep up this Taipei lifestyle. So maybe people don't know, but like to be an English teacher in Taipei, it's a very cushy life. Like especially when I was first here, I was only working like 16 hours a week. Had an apartment, had a nice life, training jujitsu. I went back to California and tried to kind of keep up the same thing, try to see if I could work a part-time job with hobbies, and it's not possible. I was living with my parents. I was working in an office, trying to use my accounting degree. um, and it was hard, man. It was brutal. So that was probably the lowest time when I was about like 25, 26. And I distinctly remember I was being aware at the time because I had gone on lots of meditation retreats. I was aware of how to read myself, right? How to check in with my body, how to check in with my thoughts. And the thing that I always remember was like driving out of the office every day. I worked at a couple different offices in that time, and all of them had a common thing where leaving the office was kind of a dangerous intersection,
Mm.
right? It's kind of vague, like the lights, who's turning, who's not. It was always confusing. I don't know why that is, but I always noticed that. And I just remember thinking, like, if I have a car accident here, it wouldn't be that bad, right? That's like I was like passively suicidal. Like, if I'm getting on the freeway and something terrible happens, what's the problem? That was kind of my lowest. And I noticed at the time, I clocked it. And it's like, okay, let's get back to Taiwan. Let's not actually commit suicide. Let's kind of commit like, it's kind of like social suicide coming back to Taiwan, right? I'm kind of cutting out, uh, past friendships. Like, of course, we keep in touch online, but that's not the same thing, right? Keeping in touch with family members, we talk, but that's not the same thing as being with somebody, right? And so come back to Taiwan, do my weird tea stuff, focus on jujitsu, read books, and build myself back up into a way that now I don't think about dying positively at all. I think that would be not that it's like a terrible thing, but like I don't wish for it at all. I like my life. Yeah. And for a long time I didn't really like life.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Which
I
part can you relate to?
uh, the part where like there was a time when I was in the military in the U.S. where I just really wasn't enjoying it,
Mm.
and I wasn't gonna quit. But then I was like one night, like a Friday night or whatever, I just like I was driving drunk in California,
Oh.
and I was like, if I get
Oof.
pulled over, like it wouldn't be. I knew it would be disastrous, like for my military. I was just like, it wouldn't
Sure.
be that bad because then it'd be like kind of not necessarily suicidal, but just like ending it for myself, in terms of that.
Would you get kicked out of the military for that? Is that the rule?
I don't think that you would get kicked out because usually you have to finish your contract, but they would just
Mm.
like throw you in a corner and you just wait it out basically. Like you wouldn't be
Ah,
doing anything,
okay.
but you would be done basically.
Yeah, that's kind of like a soft form of suicide.
Yeah, yeah,
Derail your path.
yeah. So I
Okay.
remember like one night of that happening.
Yeah, what's up with
Um,
driving in California, man?
what's up?
Driving in California, what's up with that?
Dragging?
That's the common point. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It seems like I didn't catch that. Yeah, yeah. Um, Kind of related. Like, do you believe or what? Yeah, what is your perception of like synchronicities in terms of
Mm.
noticing that the intersections were dangerous at these multiple places you're going? Was that like a sign, or was it just something you picked up?
Yeah,
What's
big sign. I've been big on synchronicities for a long time, man.
okay?
When I first came to Taiwan when I was 22, I spent a few weeks at this tea and meditation cult in Miali, a very very lovely little cult. I have nothing bad to say about them.
Hmm.
And that's when I really started picking up on synchronicities. Synchronicities are just meaningful coincidences in life, you know. Um, and I've always been keeping out for them, right? Just watching out for like just weird things that happen, right? So, for example, I remember this was many years ago. I was feeling very lonely in Taipei, just like, oh, I have no friends. What am I doing? And being very aware of my thoughts, very aware that I was thinking this. And I look, and my buddy is just standing there. This is on the MRT. This is in public. Like, what are the odds? Like, okay. It's like snapping me out of my fatalistic thinking. That's one small example of a synchronicity that like I always kind of have to chuckle at that one, you know.
Hmm.
Um, there's a there's another one recently. I can't share someone else's personal info on here though. I have to keep thinking of better examples. But yeah, synchronicities are fantastic. I think there's really something to them. I don't quite understand the science behind them, but I'm always looking out for them. And even seeing you, man, like the way we met was at Taiwan BJJ. You're wearing a 10th Planet shirt. I'm wearing a 10th Planet shirt. I don't know what's up with you, but I know I gotta talk to you, right? Gotta see what's up. Even stuff like that, you know. Oh, we've been in the same place. What's up, man? We could say the odds of that are big. We could dismiss that, but I would say that's a synchronicity. And here we are. Here we are talking. I didn't know you have a podcast. You don't know that I like doing podcasts. Here we are.
Yeah.
That's synchronicity to me. And we just follow these paths, right? We don't have to make a big deal about it, but we follow and see what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Um, what does a cult mean to you? Because I've kind of heard you use that word.
So the definition of a cult, I got really interested in this after I went to see them. Because like I said, I had a good time, you
Hmm.
know. But when people hear about a cult, they imagine disaster. For good reason. The only time that cults make the news is like tragedy, right? It's like, um, so a cult by definition has a charismatic leader. They are a little removed from society, and they are the cult leader keeps people away from society in certain ways, and their money goes towards the guy. So it's kind of a vague definition. And so one thing that I laugh about is jujitsu schools are all cults by definition, right? There's one guy, they're doing something weird that's like you can't do in society. The money goes in, and you're kind of told not to. You can't really talk about it. Jujitsu. You're not really supposed to do it outside of the place, outside of the cult center. Um, so any business, any like not any business, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of things that we accept as normal are by definition cults. Um, I would say even like a stand-up comedy show is like a 1 hour cult. Like you're just listening to this guy preach. Most religions are mini cults where it's like the preacher or like the head guy has power for even just that small community. Um, and then obviously as a religion gets bigger, it branches out, it gets more complicated, it becomes, you know, a religion. It's not a cult anymore. There's lots of people involved. Um, so I just think it's a funny thing, right? And so anytime someone's like, oh, let's break away from society and start what's like a nicer way to say it, like a commune, like every lots of people. Even my mom said like, oh, wouldn't it be nice like we just buy some land and our friends live there and we live together. And it's like, yeah, and then somebody assumes power naturally, and then somebody that guy has some weird ideas that everybody kind of likes, or else he wouldn't have the power. And then it gets very slippery, you know. You give someone power in a small community, and then all of a sudden, oh, I think you should have sex should be free. You should be able to have sex with your wife. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know if that's a good idea, but we're isolated from society. I got nowhere to go. So, okay. And that's when bad things happen, right? That's everybody's fear. And so when I talk about this nice little cult in Miali, I just mean there's a charismatic leader. They had a structured day of like meditation, tea drinking. They go to work. Um, yeah, it's like an insular community that most of society wouldn't jive with, right? Most people can't show up to jiu-jitsu school and get it. Uh, and there's one charismatic leader that takes all the money. Yeah, yeah. Cults are fun. Like I remember reading the Charles Manson book. And one thing that like really struck me about it was like how fun it would be to be like in his cult. Like 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 everyone knows Charles Manson as like, you know, people got murdered in the end. Like obviously that part sucks. but for most of it, I would say 99% of that time, it was people sitting around a bonfire, listening to him play guitar, taking acid, and meeting new people. It's like like everybody thinks that's pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It just gets problematic, and that's when it hits the news, and that's when people hear about it. But like a bunch of people sitting around meditating in Miali, it's pretty nice. I think it's cool.
I'm curious because I've heard you mention your mother. How your relationship with her is with her, and like kind of how you with her in general. It's something I've been reflecting on.
Yeah, it's not great. It's very far from ideal. She's a very nice lady, but we're not very close, unfortunately. I wish we were. This has been a big part of the meditation and like the going to therapy for years and trying to get better at it, but we're not close for not really obvious reasons. There wasn't like one fight or something. There's not like something that she does or says that like constitutes this. It's not easy to explain to others, but we're just not close, and I don't know what to do about it. I try to call her and it leaves me feeling bad. I try to go see her and we don't really connect on anything. She's very close with my brother, which I think is nice. Uh, I wish I could be close to them, but I don't know how. Can't force it, right? Can't fake it. And we're so far away that like I can't routinely go check on her, do things for her. So I send her photos, try to talk sometimes, and yeah, I wish it was better. It'd be nice if it was better.
Have you noticed that kind of trend with like expats in Taiwan that maybe they have felt some kind of isolation or disconnection with their family or their old social circle, and that's why they might have chosen to go to Taiwan, or is that not really a topic that's come up?
Yeah, it's not a major topic, but I imagine I'm speculating that it's a pretty common theme because I've talked to other people about like living like this, and they're like, "Oh, but what about your family? Don't you want to see them like once a week?" Like I think there's some people that's very normal, right? Like so my girlfriend, for example, she's Taiwanese. She's not close with her family either, but she goes to have dinner with them once a week out of like duty or something like that, right? Filial piety, I think is the word. Um, I think that there's something to that. Like I think that's kind of there's something nice about it. And I don't have that. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't instituted that. My parents never told me I have duty or that we should do things. Um, so yeah, I imagine it's part of the expat experience in some way, right? Whether it's like a big traumatic thing, there's a huge dramatic story, or it's just kind of the way things went. Um, I do have a friend who's tried to repair this. He's like has scheduled calls with his dad, and he says it's just brutal, but he does it. I think there's something to that. I think there's something nice. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're so yeah, Taiwan's such a weird spot, right? Like a lot of expats families don't get this place. They're not interested in this place. They don't know about this place other than chips are made here and we're getting invaded by China any moment. Uh, yeah, so I imagine like disconnection from family is a huge theme among expats here. And yeah, it's like in polite conversation, it's not so easy to bring up like this very painful thing, right? Like, oh, how's your relationship with your mom is kind of it's not a good party topic, right? It's like
Hmm.
a therapist thing, it's a specific podcast thing.
Yeah, I can get away with it on here, but yeah, it would be
Yeah,
weird to
exactly.
bring
Showing
up.
up to jiu-jitsu, hi, nice to meet you. How's your relationship with your mom would be insane, right? That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Um, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, man. 10 Planet Taipei. Hopefully, I'm doing it full time. Hopefully, we got a nice place. Hopefully, it's nice and stable. Hopefully, we got about 100 students. Hopefully, we got a kids program. Um, yeah, that's all my focus. 10 Planet Taipei, 5 years, run it, work hard, and then hopefully I can take a break. Hopefully I can hire some coaches and step back a little bit. Um, yeah, man, this is the first time in my life I have a 5-year plan. If you'd
Nice.
asked me before, it would be something wild. I'd just be like, nothing. Like I'd have nothing. But finally, I found my thing. I've had my purpose. I have the opportunity. You know, I have a team around me, and yeah, kind of Planet Taipei, man.
Outside of the jujitsu aspect, what other values or mission do you hope to instill in 10th Planet Taipei?
Um, Values or mission outside of jujitsu. I mean, I think jujitsu is the vehicle for values for uh like getting virtue. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like virtuous qualities? What are you thinking with this question? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like jujitsu is the vehicle. So
Hmm.
what do you hope to focus on beyond the jujitsu, if anything? That
Oh, I just think like through this people can really gain focus and like how do we say like personal development. I think is like a common byproduct of jujitsu, right? So like I was talking to my buddy yesterday in class, and he's like, "Oh, I want to get good at this. What do I have to do?" And I'm like, how's your sleep? How much water are you drinking? Are you exercising outside of this? And he's like, no, I don't do any of that. And it's like, okay, well, obviously that's your work. And so I guess it's stuff like that, right? Like really finding purpose in life, I think is the byproduct of jujitsu. As silly as that is, man, I kind of laugh at myself for thinking like this, but I think you can understand what I'm getting at. And someone who doesn't do jujitsu might have no idea what I'm getting at. But like jujitsu, it's so fun and so meaningful in such a weird way that like it really helps people to organize their life. And I think that's incredible. I think people, especially like we're talking about expat isolation, man, like almost every day on a Facebook group or a Reddit forum, there's lonely foreigners just reaching out, just, hey, how do I make friends? And I have to kind of catch myself. I can't all the time be like, jujitsu Jujitsu. Hey, I'm 35. I don't know how to make a friend. Jujitsu. Hey, I just moved here. What do I do? Jujitsu. Like it really it's helped me so much. And I really do believe that it's kind of just an unspoken, I guess maybe I should speak it, but it's an unspoken benefit of doing this weird game that we play is that you get your life in order. Like you have to be able to like get good sleep, show up hydrated, hygienic. You have to like have your work done. You can't be doing work while at doing jujitsu. Your family has to be, somewhat in order, right? Like I'm not saying you have to have your life all together, but if you want to get good at jujitsu, if you want to train this, 3, 4, 5 times a week for 5 years, you're gonna have to be a little bit organized. And I think most people are not organized, and I'm speaking for myself. I think I was not organized. I think I'm still not quite organized. But having this guiding purpose of just wanting to fight your friends, wanting to like play this stupid game, um, it really does help people get their life together. And I think that's incredible. I think that's like I don't know anything else that works quite that way, you know? Early morning Ashtanga yoga, you gotta get your life in order. You want to go surfing 5 a.m., you gotta be a little organized. And if you want to get good at jujitsu, you gotta show up. Yeah, I don't know exactly a succinct way to put this, but the personal transformation is incredible. You know, people's posture improves, people's hormone levels improve, people's diet improves. I used to teach a class Sunday morning, Sunday 11:30 in the morning, and I had many people show up, and they're like, "Dude, I used to drink every Saturday, and now I don't because I want to come here." Like, oh, okay, I didn't know, I didn't expect that, right? Things like that. Yeah. Is there a nicer way to say that? You're a guy good with words. Personal development. Is there a more succinct way to say what I'm trying to say?
I would say that it's kind of like a cornerstone habit, maybe, where
Mm,
there's a lot of tangential benefits that come with having a hobby that is physical in nature,
yeah.
right? Like you have to sleep well, you have to eat like at least better than probably how you were if you weren't training.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, there's just a lot of ripple effects and how it other things that you have to get right. If unless you just are getting constantly smashed, right, which doesn't feel great. So it's like you force
Yeah.
yourself to get
That's
better.
that's part of it as well, right? You
Yeah,
show up, you get smashed, but everybody's nice, so you keep
yeah,
coming. A year goes by, someone else shows up, and you smash them, and you didn't expect it.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. What about you, man? How has jujitsu helped you? Have you found these benefits for you?
I think for me, um, it's I've had other benefits which you might have also mentioned, but because like I grew up kind of in a stricter household, maybe, or
Mm,
and then I was in the military, so there was
mm,
other like institutions that have already like instilled some of those things, not all of them,
sure.
but like to have to wake up or to drink water. Like there was one time in the military where I thought I was gonna we were on a doing like a training thing, and I thought I was gonna like I got lost in the woods and I didn't have any more water, and I thought I was gonna like dehydrate and just die.
Really?
Um, so I guess since that incident, I've been very mindful of like drinking enough water, as an example.
Yeah,
There's
good
other like
lesson.
so there's other things that have kind of provided those guardrails.
Mm,
But in terms of jujitsu specifically, I think there's something about the confronting your ego a lot of times.
always, man. Forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and being around other people who also are going through that journey. The rise and fall, where sometimes it just feels like you're not getting better, or like
Yeah,
whatever. Especially if I'm not training like full time because I'm doing some other things. So various things, and then but kind of finding like-minded people. Also, it's kind of it can be a intellectual pursuit as well.
for
With,
sure.
with it, there's a lot of techniques and concepts involved. Um, so yeah, it just kind of checks a lot of boxes, I guess,
Yeah.
all in one. And staying calm when yeah, when there's someone like on top of you. It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that translates to other things, right? If you
yeah,
can stay calm while, like yesterday, we were training with my buddy Tarek, right? Big, strong dude who's been training jujitsu a long time. And we're starting in bottom mount, right? So it's like you're willingly letting this huge man who's so smart, this guy, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's not going to go easy on you. Letting him start on your chest, a terrible place to be, and willingly accept that and get through that. And then after that, what happened? I was like, oh, how do I get to work today? Ah, my bike card isn't working. I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like stepping into that stressful situation, that terrible situation, that like if you're giving someone life advice, you would say never do that, right? Never let a huge, smart, well-trained man onto your chest. You know, like it's an insane situation to be in, but having gone through that, other stuff in life is pretty manageable. Oh, there's traffic. Okay, that's fine. Oh, my card, I can't rent a bike today? Okay, yeah, it's okay, it's okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, something to that.
Something to that. What What's been your proudest moment in your life?
Proud?
Yeah.
Ah, I don't know, man. I, uh I don't feel very proud. I don't think I have much to show for myself. Um, even like I've won some jujitsu tournaments. I guess I'm proud of those. Some good moments. Um, I have good community around me. I'm actually pretty proud of that. Yeah, I guess it's like my list of friends. as I sit here sneezing in the cold. Because I have a friend who lives in Hualien. Hualien's on the east coast of Taiwan. It's a small place, and he's a foreigner as well. He's Canadian, and he's very cynical of the expat scene. He calls us what does he call us, like deadbeat English teachers. And so I saw him recently. He's like, "Oh, you still hanging out with deadbeat English teachers?" And I had to reflect, and I was like, I don't think I do. Like, I know what he means. I know the archetype. Because in Taiwan, it's very easy for an American, a Canadian, to just work teaching English. It's a dead end job, meaning like that your salary does not go up. And beer is pretty cheap. You can drink anywhere in Taiwan. It's a very free place like that. You can drink outside like a free American. And it's very easy to fall into that trap, right? Of just you teach, you drink, and you do it again. And I looked at my friends, and none of them are doing that. I couldn't name a single one of my friends who do that regularly. But I know there's a lot of people in Taiwan who do that, right? Um, so yeah, I guess if I had to pick anything to be proud of, it would be that my friend circle is pretty like they're pretty good guys. Like they have businesses, they have families, they've overcome the deadbeat English teacher trap of just work your job, cushy salary, drink, do it again. Oh, you got a new girlfriend, find a new one. Oh, you're going party. Okay, do it again. Oh, you're hungover. Oh, interesting. Like I know those people. I've dabbled in that world. It's seductive. It's nice, especially if you're young. But the sad part is we all know people who do that for 20 years, right? It's fun when you're 25, it's all right when you're 30, and now you're 40, you're still doing that? Ugh. I don't have any of those friends anymore, especially close friends. I know people like that, but we don't talk much, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'm proud of that. I'm proud that like most of my friends own jujitsu schools, you know? It's like I think that's pretty cool.
Was it your current circle? Was it people who kind of started off like that and then found a way to transition, kind of like what you're doing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, because like when you're an expat moving to Taiwan, it's very seductive to like I said, just get your paycheck. It's it's relatively substantial. Teaching English, it's rent's paid, you got some extra money. It's pretty easy to go out there and meet people. It's pretty fun, right? It's traveler's lifestyle, right? If you're a backpacker through Thailand, if you're a backpacker through China, through India, it's a good way to meet people, right? You go out, you have a drink, um, and then here you can do it excessively and get stuck in that life. And yeah, I think of all the people that I'm referring to, the ones who have overcome that, I think they yeah, I think they all went through that. I'm guessing. I think they all had a period. I know I did. Like I used to go to work on Fridays teaching English with kids, and then I'd have my gi with me. I'd go to Taiwan BJJ, train jujitsu, take a shower at the gym, and bring my stinky gi to the bar, the club. I would put it in the corner, and I'd bring a thermos of tea. This is how I could do it. I'd bring a thermos of tea, and so many bartenders, I'd be like, "Can I get hot water?" And they're like, "What? Can I get hot water?" Like, I don't think so. And I'm like, "Oh no, there's a kettle there. Can you turn on that kettle and just fill me with hot water and I'll buy a beer as well." An insane lifestyle. And I'm just so glad that I don't do that anymore. Um, Although it is pretty fun. I understand the allure. It is a seductive life. What was your question? Did I answer it?
Yeah, it's the people that you know now that they transitioned out of that kind of like you did.
Yeah, yeah. Because anybody who's self-reflective knows it's like it's a dead end life, you know, it's not healthy,
Mhm.
but pretty fun. How's my
Who
hair? Is it okay?
It looks good. Who what authors or speakers, and you don't have to say Jordan Peterson just because I saw his book in your
So we're talking about him.
what authors, speakers, or figures do you feel have shaped your mentality or helped to foster your growth?
I'd say there's a lot. So that's one thing that really helped me these past what's it been, like 10 years of me living in Taiwan and trying to figure things out, is I've been a heavy reader. That's one thing I'm very grateful for. My parents really instilled reading in me. I learned how to hack a Kindle pretty quickly, so I can get most books. I know good bookstores. I spent a lot of money on books. You were in my house yesterday. You see, I've got stacks of books. Now they're mostly decorative, but you know. So if I had to name a guy, I would say I can only say his name jokingly. Alain de Botton, the School of Life guy. Do you know this guy? Do you know what I'm talking about? He's a very, very wonderful YouTube channel called The School of Life. He has a wonderful book called The School of Life. And he has several other books that are fantastic. They're all just life is hard and here's why. Here's how we can do it. Try to stay calm. Relationships are very difficult. Do your best. You still got to do them. And here's how they fall. And here's how they fail. And here's what you can do. And pretty incredible, pretty helpful. I haven't checked back in with him in a while. So I wish I could hit you with like a sick quote or like a sick lesson. I just know that when I had breakups in the past, I would just dive into his YouTube channel. I'd just pour over his book. And I feel a bit far away from him now because my life it's pretty cool. I feel I have purpose. I have a good girlfriend. I'm in a good relationship. I have good friends. So I don't quite have the malaise that he really helps to soothe. But yeah, for anybody looking for a little help, right? A little online therapy, a little book help, I would say The School of Life is fantastic. It's very clear, it's very wonderful. And the guy's name is Alain de Botton. Do you know this guy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I actually only heard of him recently. I saw his podcast on modern wisdom.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, and
And
like he's just a guy like I think his life story is kind of I think he's like a super wealthy guy who just dove into philosophy and is just a great speaker and has a great like team around him. Um, so yeah, so him on Modern Wisdom is fantastic. I only caught clips, but I'm just sure everything he says is just a banger, right? Is there anything you took away from that podcast we can share with people? I always like to hit people with a quote, but I don't have it. I don't have anything ready.
yeah, the quote that stood out to me, and I don't think this was in the podcast, but in one of his like talks, maybe it was a TED talk or some other talk,
Sure, he's done a lot. Yeah.
where he mentioned that with regards to relationships and why we picked the wrong partner,
Yeah.
like we're not just seeking happiness, we
Yes.
actually are looking to suffer in familiar ways.
Yeah, such a good one. Like such
Yeah.
an I remember learning that and like I think I read that in one of his books and just put it down and went, ah.
Yeah.
Like it's so true and like so unfortunate, right? Like we
Mm.
think we're these like nice, rational, like, oh no, I need someone who's healthy. And it's not that at all. And so I
Mhm.
remember reading that coming out of a very toxic breakup and being like, ah, he's so right. And
Mhm.
you talked about like mother issue and like my relation to my mother. So I've had a string of not good girlfriends.
Mhm.
Very toxic relationships, big breakups, and just so confusing. Like it's so hard. And then he says that, right? You pick what's like the comfortable pain.
Yeah.
Ah, so true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the thing I'm curious about that is, and that I still haven't wrapped my head around is like, is the point to not repeat that pattern, or is it the point to heal that pattern? That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. a very tricky thing, but I know what you're getting at, right? So I think the thing is to notice, right? So look back on the previous relationships and see the patterns, right? So it's just very difficult, right, to have this level of self-awareness, but we should definitely try, right? So what in childhood felt similar to that past relationship and why, and how does that actually feel now? And so one way that really helped me with this was I talked to a very smart friend about this, and he said to take it positively, right? So he says, look back on all past relationships, even crushes count, even like fantasies count. Take all the positive parts of all past partners, all fantasies, all crushes, and put them together into a perfect relationship. And you have to be really honest about this, man. Like I try to say this to some friends who are not very self-reflective, and they're like, got it, huge tits. And it's like, okay, that's might be part of it, but that's not really what I'm trying to say. It's more about like, what patterns did you like? What parts do you like? And it gets very embarrassing very quickly, man. Like, I'll share one with you. I was like, I really like it when my girlfriend, has to leave, but I don't have to say it. It's very difficult for me to say, like, hey, I need some alone time. But the truth is, I need a lot of alone time. And so I was like, how do I overcome this? And I met my girlfriend now, and she is the Ashtanga yoga addict that I wish I could be. So it's very nice that she's up early in the morning and out of the house. So we can have our date, we can have a nice sleep together, and then I wake up and she's gone.
Mm.
Oh, fantastic. What an embarrassing thing to admit to myself, like how important that is and how difficult it is to admit. Like in the moment, like how hard it is to say, like, can you leave? Like I've
Mhm.
never been able to do that, even though I wish I could, for example.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, especially for guys who are introverted or who need their alone time,
Yeah.
um, who have like passions and projects and ambition and things, but then at the same time you want to be empathetic, you want to be kind,
Of
you don't want
course,
to
and
be
like
like
you
rude.
need the feminine energy, right? It's
Yeah,
so nurturing, it's so healing, it's so fun.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's tricky. It's
yeah.
very tricky.
Very tricky. One recent paradox, I guess, or that I haven't been able to work out, maybe you can help with it, is like, so this is just from my perception, and I'm not trying to label anyone, but let's say like I perceive that my mother exhibits some narcissistic qualities. And in
Sure.
my 20s, I might have picked up some of that and you know, exhibited that also with like previous partners.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then more recently, let's say I attract another partner who, in this case, now also exhibits narcissistic qualities because I'm used to it, right?
Yeah.
Now, in on the one hand, like maybe this is not the kind of partner that would be supportive for me.
Sure.
On the other hand, I wouldn't exist if my mom, in a sense, maybe wasn't like that. So there's
Yeah.
like a weird sense of like loyalty or attachment to that kind of person. It's like, well, if she wasn't that way with my dad, I wouldn't even exist. So, like in a way, I have to thank that kind of person or those kind of qualities.
Yeah. Kind
And
of,
it's
yeah.
like, do I need to like also repeat that or like or like be present so that can how do we like because I guess we ideally maybe like human population or like people can evolve past some of these things, but then how does that work, right? Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like because if the way that she is or and I don't know, I'll stop there.
Sure,
Otherwise,
sure. I understand where you're getting at, man.
yeah,
Um, yeah, you have an unfortunate comfort with narcissistic ladies.
Hmm.
And I would just say it's unfortunate, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and so, we wish we could just break out of that pattern, right?
Yeah.
There's a book you could read. I'm not saying a particular book, but there's lots of them where some spiritual guy would be like, "Yeah, just break the pattern. It's easy. Just do it.
Mm.
Self-awareness and break it forever." And realistically, your subconscious is formed to these types of ladies. And so I'll just say it's gonna be very difficult, man. Like it's just very hard. And so if I could offer any advice, which I don't feel very qualified for, but in this situation, I guess, it's my opportunity. Um, it would just be try to find the positive aspects of that, right?
Yeah.
Narcissism sounds incredibly negative, obviously, right? It's
Mhm.
not anything anyone would wish for. But I'm sure there's positives to it, right? Like, are they very like helpful? I don't know exactly what the positive of narcissism would be, but like there's something fun about it, right? Maybe you like helping somebody, or I don't know. Like, is there any positive that you could find in this situation? Like, what's the fun part of dating a narcissistic lady? There's got to be something.
Of
It
dating
can't
one?
be all be bad. Yeah. Like in
Um,
your experience, what's one big or small
yeah.
like fun aspect of that, right? Is it fun to like help her out? Is it fun to like enter her world and like I don't know. I'm just guessing. What's like a fun part of it?
I would say that one of the fun parts is for positives, or what I'm used to is like the it's not boring, quote unquote. It's not sincere. Like what I
Never
observed with my
boring.
parents growing up, like a lot. We don't have like fights the way that maybe they did, but like yeah, just like there's constant triggers. Um,
Mm,
and so it's like it's kind of like jujitsu where you throw yourself into a difficult situation and
mm,
and it somehow makes you better because you have to become better. Um,
yeah,
so it's kind of like that where I perceive that it's made me a better person because I had to
sure.
like confront my own triggers. And then at the end of it, I have to say also like sometimes I'm wondering like if I'm the one that is exhibiting these qualities, right? Like I'm projecting
Oh.
onto these two women, like maybe it's me, right? Like
Yeah.
so,
It's always partly you, but it's
yeah,
also partly them.
yeah.
And so this is just
Um,
it's a good mental exercise, man. You're asking the right questions, you're pondering the right way, and I don't think there's a clean answer, you
yeah,
know? It's just kind of stay in the fight. If you're to do this exercise that I'm suggesting, it's focus on the positive and just keep trying, man. Like, so you're saying like dating a narcissist girl, it's like jujitsu with the constant battles and stepping into the stressor, but you also need time where it's like not that, right? Like the
yeah.
good thing about jujitsu is it ends.
Hmm.
You come to my house, we train jujitsu. I'm gonna attack you for about 20 minutes, and as soon as that buzzer ends, I'm not gonna attack you anymore, right? If I see you in the street, I'm not taking you down.
Yeah,
In a relationship, it can be tricky because it kind of never ends
yeah,
until it's like absolutely over. And so I would suggest really finding a mental image of what that rest would be, right? What's that balance, right? Where it
yeah,
is fun, it is provoking, but also like, come on, chill. Like, and I don't know what that is, right? We have different dating patterns.
yeah.
I can think of one girl I've dated that's kind of similar to that, where it's like she really did inspire me to get better because she was just saying nasty stuff with truth to it.
Hmm.
But I can't live like that. I can't have someone insulting me in my bed.
Yeah,
I can't have it. Never happened. It's unacceptable to me now.
yeah,
And luckily I'm with a partner now who doesn't do that.
yeah.
She'll say nice things that inspire me to be better outside of bed. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. I can accept that. Of course, I need to be better. Of course, I can step it up in this way. Of course, this is a problem. She's right sometimes, but you need a break. You need someone who's supportive when you're tired.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if there's anything I could suggest, it's really find that mental image of what that would be for you.
Yeah.
And
I think
maybe
for
it's you
me,
don't live together. Maybe it's
yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I was reflecting back on like my first, like my earlier relationships, and it's like, well, when I was at a military academy or in the military, it was like kind of long distance, right? Where like I had my job, I was doing my thing. We weren't living together. It's like once a month I see you, like for 2 or 3 days, right? And it could be more than that, right? Like it could be
Sure.
every other weekend or something like that. Um, but just having that space so that
Yeah.
like you can go do the work there and then like get out and have your own space to process. Whereas if you live together, it's like trying to do jujitsu like 24/7, and you need time off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, nobody can do that.
Yeah. So maybe it's just that it's just finding the balance, which is why that then I wonder like, was it just the lifestyle that was incompatible, or like the structure, the way that we had arranged it versus and what we could at
Mm,
the moment versus like ideally, if I yeah if we had lived separately and saw each other once every 2 weeks for and then went through the process that way, like is it the wrong person or the wrong like situation, if that makes
yeah, that's a good
sense.
question.
Yeah.
It does. It's a good question, and obviously, it's all wrapped up in the same thing. It's
Hmm.
you, it's her, it's the situation melded together in a very confusing way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, man. Yeah, these are good questions that I think you can only ask yourself and really meditate on, and then get little hints and hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with that said, I know that you have something else to go to, so I'll just kind
Hmm,
of there's a string of questions that I asked at the very end.
sure.
A little bit more rapid fire.
Okay.
So the first is, if you could only gift one book for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Gift to
Yeah,
people.
yeah, gift.
I think School of Life. I think that's a really good, succinct one. I have gifted it to people. I gifted it to my mom, which just kind of offended her. Yeah, so I'd say the School of Life. That's a good one.
Okay. Uh, what advice would you give to yourself from, let's say, from what did you say, 11 years ago when you first started jujitsu?
Sure. Life advice or jiu-jitsu advice?
Anything.
Any advice?
Let's do one of each, life and jujitsu.
It's a good question. Let me think. Where was I 11 years ago? Senior in college. Advice would be, and so much. I'd just say calm down.
Calm down.
Breathe easier. So this would be life and jujitsu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Calm down. Don't stress so much. Anxiety doesn't really help. Deep breaths. Keep going. Yeah.
Nice. Um, so kind of what I've taken from Diary of CEO is like the last guest will leave you a question,
Okay.
and then you'll leave the next guest a question. So the last guest asked, if you could go back in time in your own life, what's one thing you'd want to change?
Ooh, changing my life is tricky, man. Um, I wish I didn't spend so much money when I was young. I wish I still had some of that money.
Hmm.
I come from a bit of a wealthy family, and I just kind of had some money in the bank, and I blew it. I wish I had that, but at the same time, I don't really regret it. It would be nice to have it because I don't have access to it now.
Yeah, maybe put some in crypto or something. Yeah, back in the day.
I crypto's an annoying thing, man, because I was doing pretty well in it, and then Taiwan kicked out Americans on the local exchanges.
Really?
I used to buy Bitcoin in cash at Family Mart.
Didn't know you could do that.
That was such a good system. It was so cool.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore. That's unfortunate. I wish
Yeah.
that was different.
Okay. Uh, and then what is one question you would like to leave for the next guest?
One question for the next guest. It's a good one. I would say I would ask the next guest, if you were to fantasize your ideal day, what would that look like? In as many details as you can.
Would you care to answer that question?
I could do it a little bit. Sure. My ideal day is I wake up naturally around 7:30 in the morning. I catch a beautiful sky outside my house. You were here yesterday, we got beautiful mountains right there. The sun rises right above that. I sit here, I drink some wonderful tea. I read a nice book. Some friends come to my house. We do jujitsu. I go to work. The kids are not annoying. I teach English to kids still. Hopefully, they're not annoying. After work, I get off, eat some food, come home, watch a nice movie. Pretty simple.
Nice. Love it. All right. Is there any other person that you feel would be a good fit for this podcast?
For this podcast, sure. I'd recommend my buddy Tarek. You met him yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he would have lots of good insights, and
And then would
I
you be
could
willing?
connect you guys.
Yeah, if you could connect her, even though we've met already. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. He's the one coming. He's coming to my house right now. I can let him know.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And then lastly, is there anything final that you would like to share, promote, or request from the audience?
10th Planet Taipei, guys. We don't quite have anything set up. Is this podcast coming out soon, or is a little delay? What do you think?
It'll be soon, but right now it's a very small audience, so we'll have to do it again when it builds up.
Please, yeah, anytime, man. Yeah, 10 Planet Taipei on Instagram. If you're in Taipei, hit me up for jiu-jitsu. If you're not in Taipei, come visit. It's a very wonderful place. We have a 10 Planet school coming, and it's gonna be awesome, man. I'm very excited for it. Please come support, and yeah, 10
Do you want
Planet
me to link
Taipei.
your personal Instagram, or like there's going to be a 10th Planet Taipei one, or other link that you prefer?
There's gonna be a 10 Planet Taipei Instagram.
Okay.
Could we link both? Is that too much?
Yeah.
Yeah. So me
Just send me
personal,
the other
Marshall
one, 'cause
Stamper.
I have yours right now, so.
Okay. Yeah. And then 10 Planet Taipei. Pretty easy to find.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so, man. This was fun. Appreciate you. Glad we met. Glad I took that synchronicity step of engaging you in conversation at Taiwan BJJ, inviting you to come out to other stuff. It was nice having you in training. It's nice to talk to you. Glad I know you. Glad you're asking these very difficult questions, man. Like of yourself, I mean. The self-reflection you're doing is good. It's difficult. And yeah, man, it's cool.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you as well. I'm glad you came and spoke to me. It's not often that I reach out to people, so.
Yeah, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
It's hard, it's scary. I understand.
Yeah, so definitely learned a lot. I have a lot to reflect on. And I hope, looking forward to continuing to see you expand and Taipei BJJ, or 10th Planet
10 Planet Taipei. Yeah.
Continue to grow. So yeah.
Yeah, let's
Thank
do
you
this
so
again
much.
sometime, man. No problem.
Yeah. Take care.
All right.
Go
Have a
ahead
good one,
and
man.
end the recording. You don't have to get off yet. I'm just
Okay.
gonna stop